Hey guys, this is Feeding Frenzy 91, and I'm talking about Lee. Yes, the character that I think we all know and really like. The first character we played with in the Walking Dead series. But I want to take a look at Lee really in perspective. Well, he was a convicted murderer who found Clementine alone in the yard of her house, then found other survivors. Roughly 3 months passes, Larry dies, Lily kills someone, Savannah and both, then he risks his life to rescue Clementine, which resulted in his own death. Okay, that's Lee in perspective. That's basically Lee in a nutshell. So wait a minute, that doesn't seem like much actually. I mean, for a character that seems so edged in so much Walking Dead gamers, it seems like you would think there was more to his character, like he spent 2 years with Clementine or he was there the whole time. No, he was there for 3 months, and yet he made such an impact not only on the players, but on Clementine as a whole. I mean, Crystal was with Clementine for almost 2 years, yet she doesn't seem to have nearly as great an impact on her life as Lee did. And even the developers themselves seem to know this, as the final season seemed to be more of a sequel to the first season than anything else. I mean, we've already had a Lee flashback, we've had Lily come back. This just seems like the developers were like, okay, we're going to make this one more like season 1. Why does Lee and season 1 have such an impact on everybody, it seems? Well, I have 3 answers. Now, obviously, these are my own opinion, so if you disagree or agree, whatever, leave your comment below, and we can have a nice discussion. Number 1, you never forget your first. What do I mean by this? Well, Lee was the first character we played as, and when we first were introduced to this world, it was like, what? What are we doing? And then when we learned about Lee more and more about his backstory and everything, it was like, wow, this character is really good. I mean, the first season was just filled with the outbreak is just starting, people had to learn how to survive and whatnot. It was all just so new and like surprising, which made the game actually really good. I mean, that first time you had to pick between Carly or Doug, it was like a really hard decision, I think, for a lot of people. Then the second season, when they tried to mimic it with Nick and his uncle, it just wasn't as fresh. It was more like just something they've done before. So I think because the season 1 was the first season, it did have some benefits, obviously, of things being good simply because they surprised us. But that's not all. Number 2, Lee's character was developed so well. Lee's character was just one of those characters that just hit the nail right on the head. His whole, when you first meet him, he's going to jail, but then boom, accident, and he meets Clementine. It was just done so well. And his whole, how this story is basically him turning around because he was a convicted murderer, and then he now has to protect this little girl, and he ends up dying basically so that she can live. And that was really all well done from basically all angles. Lee wasn't even one of those characters that, oh, if you like this type of character, you like him. No. Basically, so much people liked him because he was one of those versatile characters that just everybody could like. And I just don't think that any protagonist since has really held a candle to Lee. Yes, Clementine was okay in season 2, but you could tell she wasn't ready to be the protagonist. I mean, an 11-year-old girl as the protagonist just didn't work as well. And Javier, though once again all right, he didn't hold a candle to Lee. Plus, A New Frontier wasn't really done that well, in my opinion. In fact, the first time you kind of have that Lee vibe with the whole series is in the final season, where Clementine finally is old enough to seemingly take the reins. Kind of like how Lee says in the flashbacks where he's like, you're in my position now, or something like that. The third and final reason I believe why Lee was so important to us, and to obviously the developers, is because season 2 and A New Frontier weren't done that well. Have you ever seen a movie like where they have a sequel and then the sequel isn't as well received as the first one? So what they do is they make the third movie more like the first. What do I mean by that? Well, they make it more of a continuation to the things that happened in the first movie as opposed to the things that happened in the second movie, because they realize, oh wow, the second movie kind of sucks, so let's just make it more of a continuation to the first. And that's what they seem to be doing here. Season 2 in A New Frontier, I don't think had nearly as much positive feedback as season 1 did. So for this last season, they're like, okay, we need to make this more like season 1. We need to bring it back to basics. We need to return to form in a sense. We need this to be more of a continuation to season 1 than anything else. I mean, Lily is back, and Lee, you got the flashback with Lee. Sure, there's a few tidbits here mentioned from like season 2 and A New Frontier, but nothing is like season 1 here. In the final season, they are really trying to push it that this is more of a continuation to season 1. Now Clementine is fulfilling the role of Lee, obviously with AJ. And I just think that they realized season 2 and New Frontier weren't as well done, so they had to go back to the one that they really did well. In any case, those are the reasons why I think Lee is so important to both us and the devs and Clementine as a whole. But what do you guys think about Lee? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and may God bless you all.